Yep. I'm here. I'm so late, man. What on earth is going on? I'll play song for y'all today, though. I ain't gonna make the fact that I'm late mess up my mojo. Here we go. One of these kinky reggae nights, I'm inviting you over. Looking forward to the conversation. The truth name one on one, still the best way to communicate. Even to see you, don't have to be inside. We can chill out in the yard. Here we go. Well, I'm Queen Africa. I really like when I tune it up. Gone on my boy. But Africa, I like when I tune it up. The tune name action speak louder than words, not in all places. Words can take you very high places. Verbal stimulation. Yeah. Verbal stimulation, you know. So I love it when we talk like this. Holistic seduction. Alright, holistic seduction. Holistic seduction is what these people are talking about. And tonight we're gonna talk about love languages. That's what we're gonna mix up tonight. I apologize for being late, ladies and gentlemen. I really do. If I'm to be bluntly honest, I fell asleep. I set an alarm, slept through the alarm, and here we are. But if you stay tuned, if you stayed up, if you're still here, we're gonna have a show. If you're not here, we're gonna have a show. Mind you, I'd rather you be here so we can have some fun and mix it up. But hey, what am I gonna do? I fell asleep. It's honest. It's an honest mistake. I set an alarm, it didn't work. Or it worked, I guess, but I slept through it. I woke up, went back to sleep. Long day, long week, etc. etc. But it's still Black History Month. What does my shirt say? Black history is what? I don't know. Is our history or is world history? Is I think what it says. But here we are nonetheless. So I have a quick show for you today. And again, I apologize for the wait. But if this is your first time joining the Evelyn People Show, welcome to the Evelyn People Show. My name is Mark Matthews, and on this show, we talk about stuff. Sometimes I have guests on here. I don't have a guest tonight. You're stuck with me. You're welcome. But usually we read some poetry as well. The poetry typically comes from my book called Love, Life, Confrontation, Expressions, Selections from the Chronicles of a Black Man. It's a book of poetry. If you're in the island of Jamaica, it's available in Fontana pharmacies, and anywhere else you are, it is available on Amazon.com. If you have missed our previous shows, feel free to go back. They're still available on YouTube. They're still available on Facebook for you to check them out. Tonight, however, we have a show called The Love Whisperer. The Love Whisperer, and it is talking about love languages and how they work. Now, I don't know what you know about love languages. I don't know if when I say the word love languages, anything comes to mind at all. But if something comes to mind, if nothing comes to mind when I say love languages is essentially how you communicate, love, and how you want to be loved. It is what love languages are. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, love languages are the end all be all of everything. But there's really five general categories that romantic partners use to express love. And like I said, I'm late, so I'm not going to dilly dally at all today. So the first one of the love languages, we're going to talk about the five of them, what they are. We're going to look at them a little closer, and then we're going to look at some real life applications. Okay, so the five of them would be acts of service, gift giving, physical touch, quality time, and words of affection. Those are generally the five love languages. They are acts of service, gift giving, physical touch, quality time, and words of affection. Now, let's talk about each of these for a little bit. Let's start with words of affection. Now, if words of affection, and like we said, love language is the way you interpret love. Okay? Have you ever seen, I don't know, have you ever seen two people try to communicate when they don't speak the same language? And especially if it's an excitable type situation where you're yelling and screaming, and one person is like, I don't know what you were saying. What are you saying? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? What are you saying? ¿Cómo estás? And you're one language, they're one language, you're not really communicating anything. That is more obvious, that is more blatant. But what we don't realize is that really, if the person that we're with or significant other speaks a different love language than we are, we're communicating basically in the same way and getting a whole bunch of nowhere. Okay, so let's look at what these love languages are. I wasn't seeing enough of my shirt, that's why I took my crawl off, but I'm going to put it back on. There it is. See? All right. Now, words of affection. If words of affection is your primary love language, and that's something I'll get into in a little bit, then words build you up. Okay? If words of affection is your primary love language, words build you up. You thrive on spoken affection. Spoken affection is your jam, essentially. Okay? Praise is your jam. Words of encouragement are your jam. Compliments are your jam. And in the reverse, or conversely, harsh words or criticism can bother you for a long period of time. Now, if your significant other is unaware of this, then they might be doing things on a daily basis that can negatively affect the relationship without knowing it. Okay? The other one, or one of the other ones, is acts of service. Now, if acts of service is your love language, you will appreciate anything your partner does willingly to ease your workload. You will interpret that as love. You will interpret that as them expressing love for you. Anything that they do that essentially lightens your workload. Example, if they do chores you'd usually do, you view that as love because this is how you interpret love. Okay? So on the flip side of that, stuff like laziness, broken promises make you feel unimportant. So if they're not helping you do anything, they're just sitting back and let you do everything. If you say you're going to do something and end up not doing it, they view that as total betrayal and like they are not important to you. Okay, because acts of service is how they interpret love. Okay. Another one is receiving gifts. Now that one's pretty easy. Receiving gifts, everybody knows about receiving gifts. Now, a thoughtful gift for a person who is on that spectrum, a thoughtful gift makes them feel special. Okay, a thoughtful gift makes them feel special. Generic gifts have the opposite effect. So don't just go get them something because it's one of those Hallmark holidays, Father's Day, Mother's Day, whatever. Do something, give them a thoughtful gift, give them a gift that makes them realize, wow, I didn't even realize you were paying attention when I said that. But here you are with this thing that helps me do that other thing that I was a problem with. It could be something very simple. Like I said, it can be simple, but it can be thoughtful. It could be a simple thing as you visiting, or you going home and realizing that that door slams every time somebody goes through it, and you hear your significant other respond to the door slamming. Like, it upsets them, they're mad the door slams every time. And you get something to prevent the door from slamming. It probably costs you $5.99 at the store. Okay. However, it's a very thoughtful gift because it now addresses something they were having a problem with. And for them, that is you showing love for them, because gift giving or receiving gifts is the way they interpret love. That is their love language. Okay. Quality time. Quality time is one of the more popular ones. And quality time is simply undivided attention. It's you giving your partner undivided attention. Um, your partner is truly present. They're not on the phone when you're supposed to be having a conversation with them. They're not on the phone every time they're home. They're actually present. They are in the moment with you when you are there. And quality time is being spent between you and them. Now, failure to actively listen, periods of no special time, makes them feel unloved. Okay, because spending quality time is how they interpret love. It is how they want to receive love. It is how they give love. Okay. Now, another one, a popular one as well, is physical touch. Now, physical touch includes stuff like holding hands. Some of the more traditional things I would imagine: holding hands, kissing, hugging, other touches, other touches. um, are their preferred way to receive love, right? It makes them feel safe. It makes them feel warmth. Um, and the lack of these things drives a wedge in the relationship if there is a lack of the physical touch, because the physical touch is the way that they interpret love. Okay. And that's kind of broad stroking it for you. Okay. That's definitely kind of broad stroking it for you. Now, see if I can get into it here. So, what we're saying is this. Forgive me. What we're saying is this: love, being in love, expressing love, receiving love is not generic. Okay? We're saying that different people express love in different ways. We're saying that different people want to feel love in different ways. We're saying that if love was a special language, you would have to speak a different kind of language depending on who you are talking to. Okay, so it's the equivalent of you going into a foreign country, speaking the language you speak, and nobody understanding you, as opposed to going somewhere where everybody speaks the language you speak and you can communicate. What I'm saying is, love languages, expressing love languages, feeling love languages, being loved is the very same way. It comes in a specific language. And if you do not understand the language of the person you are with, if you do not speak the language of the person you are with, you're going to have issues in your relationship, because even though you love the person and the person loves you, if you guys are not speaking the love language, or you're incapable of speaking or understanding the love language that they speak, then you're going to have problems communicating with each other on that level. Okay. Now, everyone basically has a primary and a secondary love language. Okay. And if you're joining late, or if you watch this after the fact, I'm just going to reiterate for you, because I know I'll hold hour late because I fell asleep. I get it. I know. Whatever. We're saying the love languages are the five primary love languages are acts of service, gift giving, physical touch, quality time, and words of affection. Okay. Now, everyone has a primary love language and a secondary love language. Now, how do you find out what your significant other love language is? And like I'm saying, it is absolutely important for the longevity and the success of your relationship that you have a thorough understanding as to what your significant other's love language is. Okay. Now, one of the ways you can do it very simply is to observe the way they express love to others. Observe the way your significant other express love to others. And that will kind of give you an understanding of what their love language is, because people often express love in the way they want to receive love, because that is how love makes sense to them, essentially. You see, because a lot of times, and let's get down to it, a lot of times we kind of think about love as if it is, what should I say, all encompassing, or it is kind of one of those one size fits all type scenarios, and it absolutely is not. Love is definitely not a one size fit all kind of situation. It's a thing where it has to be tailor fitted for the individual. Okay. And if you are with someone that does not understand your particular fit, then it just doesn't fit, or it just won't fit. Um, so we said you can observe the way that they express love to others. You can analyze what they complain most about, or what they complain most often about. You analyze that, and that will give you an understanding of as to what their love language is, or how they expect things to be as it relates to love. You can look at what they request from their significant other most often. You look at what they request, and then you would get, babe, can we do this? Can we do this weekend? Can we spend some time? Like, can we go here and do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? Can we just sit and chill? Is like the things that they ask for are essentially hints that you are being given as to what their love language is. It's essentially hints that you are being given as to essentially how they interpret love. Okay. Now, um, like I said before, people tend to give love in the way that they prefer. People tend to give love in a way that they prefer to receive love. Now, if you can identify the way that they give love, you will essentially be identifying the way they wish to receive love. And if you are with them, that will give you the leg up, essentially, because now you know their love language, and now you will know what they will appreciate most. Because most people, um, I would say, are on all of, they can appreciate love in each of the languages. That's why we say most people have a primary and a secondary. And though we said they have a primary and secondary, they can actually, understand, interpret love, appreciate love in each of the five categories. But it's just that they have a primary and they have a secondary. You have to identify what your significant others, primary and secondary, are. And when you play to those things, you will be essentially stockpiling credit in the bank, so to speak, because of how it'll make them feel about how you feel about them. Okay. Relationships in which the individuals cater to the love language of their partner tend to thrive more, because you are essentially getting the type of love that you want. You are essentially getting love in the way you want to be loved. Because, like I'm saying, it's like this. Excuse me. Everybody kind of has an idea as to, you know what, I'm going to leave that for a minute. I'm not even going to get there yet. But I will reiterate, though, that relationships in which individuals cater to the love language of their partner tend to thrive more. So, for example, I'll give you an example here, though. So, say, for example, you have two people. One of their love languages is acts of service, and the other one is giving. And you keep giving the other, you that has gift giving as your love language, keeps giving your significant other gifts, and you're wondering, why are they not appreciating the gifts that you're giving? as much as you thought they would appreciate or should appreciate the gift. In fact, you're over here getting upset because they're not appreciating the gift the way you think they should be appreciating the gift. But really, their love language is acts of service. They cut the lawn, they iron the clothes. If you were to step in, cut the lawn for them, iron the clothes for them, you would get so much more credit for doing those things as opposed to stepping in and giving them a gift. Because guess what? Gift giving is not their love language. Gift giving is your love language. And you are with someone who acts of service is their love language. So here you are giving gifts, giving gifts, giving gifts, wondering why your gifts are not, they're taking the gifts, they're saying the correct things, they're saying thank you, they're being polite about it, but it's almost like it's not hitting home the way you thought it should be hitting home, right? That is because you are applying your love language to them and you're not taking time to understand what their love language is. And because of that, you're not getting as far ahead as you could be because you're not taking the time to identify the love language that your significant other identifies with or identify their primary love language. What you're doing is applying your love language onto them. Now, persons in a relationship have to be open to expressing love in the way that is different than the way they receive love. Okay? Persons in relationship have to be willing and open to express love in a way different from the way they receive love because their significant other's love language might be different than their love language. And what we're saying is this simply: love language, it's not complex, it's not some high-flown theoretical construct. Love language is simply how you interpret love, how you want to be loved, the things that your significant other does that you consider them expressing love to you. Okay? And we're saying that those fall in five major categories. The five major categories being acts of service, gift giving, physical touch, quality time, and words of affection. We're also saying that you have to be able and willing to love your significant other in the way that they interpret love. Because if you are bent on just loving them the way you want, because here's the thing: people tend to express love the way they want to receive love. You see what I'm saying? So what if my love language is acts of service? I'm going to try to love you through acts of service. You see what I'm saying? But if your love language is not acts of service, you're just going to not appreciate the things that I'm doing. I'm going to be over here getting bent out of shape, wondering why you're not appreciating all these things that I'm doing for you. But guess what? Acts of service is not your love language. So you are filing all the things that I'm doing on the things that significant others do for each other, but you're not receiving that as love because that is not your love language. Your love language is simply quality time. So I'm busy over here doing all these things for you, all these acts of service, because that's how I interpret love, but I'm not spending any time with you. And quality time is your love language. You see what I'm saying? So it is vitally important that in a relationship, we understand the love language of our significant other. And though people tend to love others in their love language, we have to identify the love language of our significant others and love them in their love language. Because this is what's going to get you further along. Because when you love them in their love language, you're going to get that much further because that is the language that they speak. And they'll be able to appreciate it and they'll be able to understand it. Okay? Let me see what else I have here for you. Now, how love languages can improve relationships is what we're going to look at here for a little bit. Now, if you don't have the same love language or know your partner's love language, attempts of love might not be noticed. I just mentioned that. I just gave you an example as well. Now, learning to speak your partner's love language can drastically improve your relationship. And really, if everything I've said so far is foreign to you and you're in a relationship, especially if you feel like you're doing the most and your significant other is not appreciating it, then you probably want to slow down and pay attention. Like we said, one of the ways to identify what your significant other's love language is simply to observe them. Observe the way that they love someone. Observe the way that they interpret love. Observe the way that they exhibit love. And that'll help you narrow down their love language. And like we said, people tend to have a primary and a secondary. Okay? And if you can latch on to those two things, that primary and that secondary way that your significant other appreciates love and you love them in that way, you would be surprised. You would be surprised just how much further you could get with someone, even if it's somebody that you're just meeting. You know what I mean? Somebody you're just meeting, somebody you're just getting to know, a relationship that is just being built. If you can actually get to the point where you understand their love language and you speak their love language, and by speaking their love language, I mean you do the things that people in that category appreciates as love, you will be that much further, so much faster. Okay? And like I said, quick show for you tonight. The takeaway from this stuff is that you should pay attention to your spouse or your significant other. You should pay attention to your spouse or your significant other so that you can actually see how they interpret love. You can actually see what it is they perceive as love. And you can deal with it. Paul, big up yourself, my youth. This is a month where history is celebrated. This is my month where history is celebrated. You don't know? Yep, here I go. You know what I mean? Black history. That's my month too. That's my birth month, my friend. You gotta tell me nothing. I'm all over it. But yeah, so we're saying if you can get to the point where you understand the love language of the person that you're with, that's when you bankroll it. That is when you are bankrolling, because, and like we said, for somebody like that gift giving is their love language. It doesn't have to be an elaborate gift. It just needs to be a considerate gift. It just needs to be a considerate gift that makes them think that, you know what, you actually paid attention to them. You see them do something every day, and you know that this one thing could help them do that thing that they do every day easier, and you get them that gift, and voila. You know what I mean? It changes their whole day because it's a considerate gift. If you feel like you are not connecting, right, then you have to, like we said, pay attention. You have to do like the love language test. There are literally love language tests out there that you can download offline and do with your partner just to identify if they're not sure which one is their primary and which one is their secondary. You know what I mean? You can literally do love language tests to identify that, because it's just built in. It has to do with our socialization. It has to do with a lot of things. You know what I mean? And it's different for everybody. There's no right one. There's no wrong one. There's no better one or worse one. It's just you. It's just how you interpret love. It's just what works for you and what makes you feel better. You know what I mean? It's just what makes you feel loved. And if all we're saying is, if the person that you're with knows what that is and plays to that, you two will get that much further. Now, seek someone based on their love language versus your perception of love. So here's the thing. If you identify what your love language is, because really it would seem like people who have the same love language would thrive together, because it's easier for you to express love the way you feel love. People tend to do that. And if you're with somebody who has the same love language as you, then when they express love the way they feel naturally, it will complement the way you feel. And that's great, and that'll work beautifully as well. In the absence of that, really any combination can work once you understand the love language of the other person and play to that. You see what I'm saying? So if you know that even though your love language is physical touch, your significant other language is acts of service, you just need to do the acts of service so that they feel loved. And when they feel love, then your physical touch will come into play because they will feel loved. You see what I'm saying? And then you'll be getting what you want out of the equation, just like they are getting what they want out of the equation. Um, so one of the things, and there are several things that are drawbacks from this. People just not ready to be in a relationship, but they're dating people. Um, not caring what the other person wants or doesn't want. You're just selfish. None of those things are going to help you. But if you are actually in a relationship where you want to, you want the relationship to thrive, you are interested, you are invested in getting it to as far as it can go, taking it as high as it can climb, then you want to genuinely find out, how does my significant other interpret love? What does love mean to them? What are the things that I do that they appreciate? Because like I said, if you have two people that interpret love or that their love languages are different, and people tend to give love in the way they want to receive it, if that is not the way that your significant other interprets love or the way they want to receive it, you're essentially spinning your wheels in the mud going nowhere. You know what I mean? What you want to do first and foremost is identify the way that they interpret love, so that when you are doing the things, they're appreciating it just as much. All right. And once you get to that point, then you are genuinely making progress, and hopefully you guys live long, happy lives thereafter. All right. Blessings. So if you join, a lot of people are going to see this after the fact because, yeah, I know I was late. I literally slept through my alarm and missed my 8 o'clock show, so I just jumped it for 9. My bad. But I'm going to read some poetry for y'all before I bounce. What I'm going to read for you today is being in love, actually, because we're talking about love. We're talking about love languages. So I'm going to read for you today, being in love. And being in love is one of them out of the book. And being in love says, it's not a destination, it's a journey. It's not a keepsake assigned to me. It's not a point for which you reach. It's not a vault that you can breach. It's more like an instinctive notion, not the kind solicited by potions. It's an intrinsic, cognizant reality shared by two in a state of unity. It's an ongoing decision you make. It's measured by the actions you take. Its nature is pure as gold. It emanates from the mind, body, and soul. It's illogical in a rational way. It's insane in its propensity to stay. From day to day, it's simple and true, all inclusive, yet about me and you. Being in love is saying yes when you mean yes. It's saying I don't know when I can guess. It's realizing when a plan no longer works. It's walking away even though it hurts. Being in love. And like we said, we're talking about love. We're talking about love languages. The poem we read is called Being in Love. It's February, man. It's all about stuff like that. We have Valentine's Day happening this week. What? Yes, that time of year. All right, peoples, bless up yourselves. My apologies again for being late today. But yeah, check it out. Check out the love languages. Read upon it. Google something, if even Wikipedia, anywhere. Find a book, read something on it. There are several very, very well-written books out there on love languages. Some newer, some older. But if you're with someone that you really are planning to spend the rest of your life with, because I've seen older couple that are together and they're just together because it's easier to be together. They don't want to stop, they don't want to start over, they have assets together, they have kids together. It doesn't have to be like that. If you're with somebody that you want to be with, or that you intend to be with long term, find out what their love language is. Find out what their love language is so that you can love them in the way they want to be loved. And it will mean more to them that way. And you will actually get what you want out of the equation, right? Because now you're loving them the way you want. Have a conversation with them about love. Have a conversation with them about love language. Have a conversation with them about the way you interpret and feel about love so that they essentially can understand how you interpret love, and they can understand what your love language is. What we spoke about earlier in the show is that, love languages, if you want to identify somebody's love languages, you can simply observe them, observe how they give love to others, and that'll help you narrow down what their love language is. Okay, so you can essentially, whatever stage of your relationship is in right now, improve that relationship by simply observing the way that your significant other gives love to others, because guess what, that is how they want to be loved. And once you identify what that is, which one of the five that we mentioned that it falls in, then you can play to that. You can play to that. If it's acts of service, you can identify some things that they do. You do that thing for them periodically, and all of a sudden, voila, you're getting a whole new version of your significant other, a whole new version of your wife, a whole new version of your husband. Your husband gets up and cuts the lawn every Saturday. Or goes out and does some kind of physical chore. And one morning you get up as the lady and put on your golash, put on your boots, walk out there and tell him that you're going to go help him today. Or you go out there and start the act itself for him. And he comes out there and sees you chopping or mowing the lawn or something that he usually does. And he's in love all over again, because that is how he interprets love. Acts of service. And when he sees you doing something to ease his load, it's like you just reset the clock and you're good again for a nice long time just off doing that one thing. When all the other things that you were doing before were getting you nowhere, because that's just not how he interprets love. Or vice versa, you have a female who, quality time is what she appreciates. And though you're out there working and you make sure money is there to pay the bill, and you're out and you're doing this and you're doing that and you're doing that, and you're wondering, you're buying her this, buying her that, and you wonder why this woman can't happy. Why this woman can't happy? The woman can't happy because you're not speaking her love language, bro. Quality time is her love language. Just sitting down, dashing her with a phone, not doing anything, taking her out to somewhere where you are 100% focused on her is her love language, the quality time. So all the things that you're doing, thinking that she should love these things because every woman, no, my youth, and every woman, you have to understand your woman and do the things that your woman appreciates as love, and do the things that she appreciates. Do find out her love language and do the things that she perceives as love. Do those things, and that will get you a whole lot further than what you're doing, thinking that this is what I should be doing. You have to have, just like we used to go to the tailor back in the day and then take a measurement and make a suit give you and it's sharp. Yeah, you have to understand your woman love language, so that when you step to her, you step to her in a very specific way. You understand? You step to her the way she wants to be stepped to, and that way you get the end result that you want. You understand? All right, people, that's the ball game. Like I said, today, no dilly dally. I was late and I ain't got no time to dilly dally. But I appreciate y'all checking in. And for those of you that won't catch it after the fact, I appreciate y'all same way, man. All right, and until next time, just bless up on yourself. Same cool.